All right, everyone, welcome back. This is the Intermodal well car review. So we're going to go over today mostly checking out which containers will fit in the cars and together. Sometimes brands don't always mix as well. Walthers do a pretty good job of fitting inside each other. Some of the high cube 40 footers I think are a little odd from what I've seen and had with in the past. The Aurora miniatures have no pegs on the bottom. The Atherns do, and they fit okay with some of the Walthers. Atlas don't have any pegs on the bottom, at least not the ones I have here. And then I picked up some scale trains, which do have the pegs. And then I picked up some Rapidos, which also have the pegs. So it seems like the Atlas and Aurora miniatures are the only ones that really don't. We're going to go through and see what fits in the well cars and which brands and which ones don't. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be probably one of the more helpful parts. After that, we're going to get an empty train together, run it around the layout for a little bit, see what issues we come up with. I already know that we have had derailments with the Atlas cars. We had derailments with the Athern cars, and what's happening is that little hook that comes straight up with the loop over it, some of those hooks are bent in one direction or another. I can't really fix that, not in the context of this video. There are things you could do right now because of 3D printing. You could probably scan it, 3D print a good one, fix it, or maybe even make a casting to make new ones out of die cast or brass or something. 3D printing would probably work just fine, but for the sake of this video, I'm assuming that you've got the minimal amount of tools and skills, like I do, to do this stuff. So mostly we're going to try to drill out the hole that'll sit over the hook, so it'll hitch on there, and that's what we're going to go with. I've got couplers, I've got metal wheels and axles, tangent wheels and axles. We're going to try to make everything that we have here work as good as it should out of the box. We're going to tell you what we did do it, we're going to tell you how long it took, we're going to show you how to do it, and we're going to see the results. So without any further ado, let's get started. Recording. Alright, so I quickly just kind of futz around with a little bit of everything. I put kind of everything on top of everything else in several different brands, including Atlas, Kato, Athern, A-Line, Walthers, and of course, as predicted, Walthers and Rapido came up on top. Everything went in and everything came out just fine. However, when it comes to the 3-packs, you've got Atlas, Kato, and then I think this is the A-Line set here. The Kato was the better of the 3. However, all of the larger containers, the 53 footers, were snug tight in the Atlas and the A-Line, and I think Kato is the only one that wasn't tight. It is snug, but everything went in and came out. But to be noted that they don't, and the Maxi 5s don't have actual pockets for the feet to stick into. So when you go to load these cars in there, like if you load them like this with 2 40s on the bottom, where's another 40? Here it is. If you put 2 40s in the bottom, and actually the Walthers and the Athern are 2 different heights. I don't know if they're just a different car or what, but if we take another Athern here, and put these guys in here, you rest the far ends into the pockets, and you get this teetering effect, and then your container slides around onto one side, so that's no good. You can obviously drill that out. You shouldn't have to. I'm not going to go that far into this, because if you do drill it out, you won't have that issue anymore, I don't think, kind of from looking at it. In the Maxi cars, or the A-Line cars specifically, you're going to run two 20 footers or 40 footers in there. That's about it. The 20 footers have the same issue that the other cars have. They don't sit in there well. But if you use the Walthers cars, there's no issue at all. And if you swap it over to an Athern, which does have the pockets, it actually doesn't quite give you the spacing apart for them to do it. They actually sit apart from each other too far to even get the pegs in. So you have one side again, but not the other, which is kind of a nuisance, kind of annoying. So if you do have multiple brands, you're probably going to want to stick to those specific container brands and specific container well cars. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 car sets, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual cars. Now again, I do not have the Scale Trains backpack cars. I was not able to get a hold of those for this. But what we're going to do is I'm going to take my time. I'm going to take each train around for a good spin around the layout. We're going to fix stuff as we go and have issues. We're going to record that. We're going to tell you what we did, what the problem was, what the fix is, and we're going to show you how to fix it. So this is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be very helpful and useful, I hope. And well, let's start running, shall we? Alright, so we made several laps in one direction with the primary weight of the train towards the locomotive with the die-cast Walthers cars up front. Now we're going to flip it around, as you can see here. We're starting with the lighter Athearn cars, going to the set of Maxi 4s versus the Maxi 1s up front, 4s. I think those are 4s. Let's see if it says. Doesn't say. And then we've got the A-line, and then we've got the Walthers coming in last. We're going to go in the same direction, same speeds, make 5 laps around, and then we're going to come back down, pick up some containers, and do the same thing. This time I'm not going to record it because it is a lot of running, it is a lot of recording, and we have got plenty more to do. So hang tight, and I'll be back. Alright, so we've got a first uncoupling here. It's the Maxi 1 stacks. What I'll do is I'll flip the camera around here real quick, but it is a coupler issue. These have the plastic McHenry couplers. They're self-centering. They've got the little springs on the side, the tensioners. And as you're going to see here in a second, the coupler's got some other issues going on. Alright, so as you can see here, it looks like the coupler's bent up a little bit. But aside from that, it's having trouble staying coupled, partially because it is plastic. It's going to pull up or down a little bit easier. And I think the trip pin may be hitting the plow a little bit. So we're going to fix both of those issues right now. We're going to first try just cutting the trip pin. And if that doesn't work, we're going to put a metal one in then. Give that a shot. And if we have the same results, we'll stop again and record. And if we don't, if it keeps going, we're just going to proceed. So let's try it. Alright, so one of the issues I'm having right now is, first of all, the screws to take this out were absolutely butchered. Whoever ran them in just sunk them straight in, stripped them out a little bit. So getting them out wasn't an issue, but putting them back in maybe. So, and then cutting the trip pin didn't help, didn't do anything. What's happening is that the spring on this coupler is not returning it back in like it should. And I've already pulled the screws out, and I believe it's actually been glued on. I think I'm going to end up breaking the car to get this coupler out. Which is too bad, because I actually was really having high hopes for this model here. This side over here I think is glued in, so we're going to take our knife here, and we're going to try to kind of cut through some of that glue so we don't destroy this model. Because again, this is, like I said, a surprisingly nice model from Athearn. And I was really hoping this one would do well. go. Hopefully that'll be enough to get the coupler out. And I just broke the air hose off. That sucks. There's actually a feature I really liked about this car. But that's when you get what you buy and you have to fix it. If this stuff came from the factory, the way that it should, it might not be a problem, but odds are I'll be able to glue it back on. So we're going to save that. There we go. Basically broke that out. So we're going to get ourselves a semi-scale here, which is what that is, but this is a metal KD coupler. We're going to bend the trip pin up because I always end up having to do it on every other car. I just assume I'm going to have to do it for this one. So now what we're trying to do with the trip pin at least is just to bring it up a little bit, so if it does hit the track, if this is too low, which I'll test in a second, at least it won't catch anything, it'll just kind of skim up over it. So we brought it up just a hair. That's all I need, that's all I'm looking for. So note to Athearn, don't glue these shut. Do us all a favor because your couplers suck. So that's moving freely, that's opening and closing freely. Let's screw this guy back together. And then you can see here how that screw, let's get it in the middle here. Come on, phone. So you can see how the screw here is kind of chewed up from running it in. The person assembling this probably just didn't care, maybe having a bad day, and they just ran it all the way in. It might be the reason why that box was glued shut for some reason. So let's finish putting this back together. My autofocus isn't working with me here. Get this thing back on the rails. Naturally, Athearn, which I was figuring would have the most issues, is. So you can see here, the coupler height is off. It is low. I'll have to locate some red washers and fix that, because now that this is the lead car, we are relying on this to not have issues. Okay, so the red washers aren't wide, don't have an opening wide enough to go around. So we're going to try to drill it out a little bit here. In case you didn't know, this is what it's supposed to look like. Just like that. Perfect. It sits right up, right level with that. That's how we want it. So we're going to get this guy back into contest and see how we do. Alright, so here we've already got a derailment. Dave's taken out this 3-car sets for me. There's 4 of them. First we have Atlas, Kato, A-Line, and Walthers. And the Walthers are the only ones that are drawbarred together, as you can see, as opposed to the pin and hook, I guess we'll call it. I don't know the technical term. But with the Atlas cars, I've noticed that these are so light and so tight that they have constant issues derailing, pushing, or pulling. And just inching through the yard, we had a derailment right away on a slight curve of a switch. And that's kind of pathetic, I think. You didn't really get far. You got maybe 8 feet. So we're going to investigate this a little bit and see what we see. Alright, so we'll back the Katos up. Okay, so this is the one where the hooks are kind of out of shape a little bit.
They just walked right off the switch.
Yeah, I think what's happening is because the way these hooks are so tight that it's literally trying to lift the middle up. Because if we just set the car down right on top of it, it won't even set in there. Look at that.
Yeah.
So let's show YouTube and the world what I'm talking about here. So looking at this, you can see here, trying to hook this car up, it's hitting part of the frame. Let's see if we pull this back a little bit. Oh, you got a lot of power on those burners there, Dave. So these are hitting right here. You can see that. And so to get it to fit, it's actually, you got to play with it to get it in there, which you really shouldn't have to do. And now that it's not even on it, but it's caught. Oh, to get it off. So really not a good thing. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if it's bent up. It doesn't look like there's anything particularly out of shape about this. It's just the centerpiece right here is not in a good place. These trucks don't seem to have a whole lot of play to them either. So, I think what we're going to do is we're going to try drilling this out just a little bit and see if it helps. And we'll go back to it. We'll revisit this if we have another issue. Alright, so I'm going to find out whatever drill bit fits in this hole first, and then we're going to drill it out. We're going to go a size up from whatever fits in there nicely. So that one's just a little big.
Want some number bits?
These are.
Those are number bits.
Mm-hmm. So this one is just barely fitting in there, so we're going to try this guy first. Okay, so there's that one. Now all I'm hoping this achieves is that, oh, and there goes some details. Those came right off with like barely touching me. I have no idea where they went. Here they are. So there's another handrail. That's the second one broken off of here, and I just barely touched it. All right. So that's car number 2. Let's see if these fit any better on here. They have more mobility now, at least. There's a little bit more play, and that's what we wanted. It's still kind of a tight fit to get it on, but I think now that there's some play, I think these will do a little bit better. I think this is going to be a common issue today, especially with the Atherns. That 5-pack of Maxi 4s is kind of tight. Maxi 4s, Maxi 5s, whatever they were. But we've lost 2 different grab irons on here now. That's the second one. It's not looking good for Atlas today. So to get these into place here, you can't just set it on. You actually have to, here, get it, so it actually focuses. There we go. The focusing on this thing isn't the greatest, so we actually have to snap these in to get them in there. Now with the holes drilled out, it's slightly better. I wouldn't say it's even marginally better. It's just ever so lightly better. So now we have them hooked up. Let's give it another shot. recording.
Uh-oh. We're on the air.
We're live.
We're live.
All right. So I just want to talk about what we've done so far. And basically, we've run everything empty around the layout. And we just went around the center because we had enough issues there. I don't think we needed to expand. And I don't think there are too many issues with the outside because this is the newer portions of the layout, correct?
The outsides, yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to cover a couple of things. We'll give a review of how we did empty, and then we're going to go back to running with loads. You'll see that one car has nothing. Some of them have only one or two containers. Some of them are fully loaded to the gills. So what we discovered, and to give some context, how old is this is the original layout that we're running on. How old is that?
About 27 years.
So almost a 30-year-old layout that was built to standards that were high standards back then, and I'm sure are still high standards now. But over almost 3 decades, there have been shifting, warping, expansion, contraction, changes in humidity and temperature, and hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of runtime. And everything adds up. So there's some shifts. There's some track that's been replaced. There's a switch Shinohara that was taken out and a Pico put in. But so far, I think it's safe to say we know what models will work and won't work. And what models will not work are the Atlas cars. They're just too light. And even when I loaded them down with containers, they had the same issues in the same spots. They're binding up in the joints here in the knuckle. And they won't work. They're lightweight, they're flimsy, they pinch some of the containers depending on the brand, and they just they don't work well. And you're the one who got stuck running with these, but what did you think overall? What was your pick from what we saw running empty?
A little disappointed in the Atlas. I mean, I've always liked, the Atlas brands. I mean, that's been around for a long time. Sean, he's right. It liked to walk off the track constantly. That was a little disappointing. So about the best I can say at this point.
In all reality, I think the only issue we had with the Walthers cars was because of the drawbars. Those are not the drawbars from that generation. So that's more on me than anything. Overall, I think the only derailment... Oh, light just died. I think overall the only derailment we had was just the one with these guys. I think the A-lines kept derailing a few times, and we put some loads into them, and they're kind of listing over. In fact, both sets of A-lines, the 5-pack, twin stacks, and the 3-pack, are both listing over pretty heavily. I don't know why. I looked at them. If we tighten the truck, it tightens to the side. So I think there's an issue with the bolster of the truck. I haven't looked too deeply into it, but I was quite disappointed in that. But the Walthers have done really well so far. The Katos have done well so far. The Intermountain derailed once. I think that's just because it's so light. The Atherns have done well. We had to replace the coupler on one because the height was so far off. And it was bent up a little bit. Other than that, I think everything else has run surprisingly well. The 5-packs did good. I had a derailment with the twin stacks backing up and then pushing into here, and that was it. The Athearn 5 cars did not derail. The individual cars, none of those derailed. The 3-pack struggled the most. And I think that's just because there's no heavy, true articulated 3-pack on the market. 3-pack of Walthers, they're drawbar together, so they're actually 3 independent cars with drawbars instead of couplers. And then the other ones are actually articulated, but no one makes a heavy articulated. Kato makes the best one out of the bunch, which is actually this one. Just because it's so well designed, it's got a little bit more weight to it, but the Atlas and the K-line they're not standing up so well. The Atlas was so bad and so frequent, I just pulled it off the track. It's just too light. I think the wheels are a little too far in gauge, and the bolsters have an issue, or the hitches have an issue on them. The details are too brittle. I mean, and you're paying almost $100 for that set, and it's just not worth it. I mean, if you're going to spend your money in this hobby, you want to do it on something that's good quality. So we've got this car here that's still listing over. We've got a car back here that's listing over to the side. So we're going to take these now into 2 sets, and we've got them mixed up with singles and 5s over here, and then 3s and 5s over here. And so we're going to take them around in 2 separate trains. We're going to throw them through the paces, see how they do. And we turned each train, ran it the other direction, and same results. So it didn't seem to matter too much without weight in them how they ran. So now is some good weight in there, which by the way, the tank cars here behind Dave, those have added weight to them. So they're much heavier than they look, heavier than your standard container. And that's why I don't mind running them on their own. I wanted to put this one in here just to see how it would do. I got a couple of theories. I honestly think it'll derail, so I'll be surprisingly happy if it doesn't. So without any further ado, let's go run some intermodal. You can see that one getting pulled over a little bit, the empty one. It's doing good though. It's hanging in there.
Getting a couple stuff. Oh, you gotta bring the power down a little further. Hiding behind that old guy. Oh yeah. Does it get any better in this?
Not by much.
You're happy.
I'm very happy. Okay.
It didn't fall off the track.
No. In fact, the only cars that actually really had a massive problem with the Atlas cars, otherwise everything we just ran, those 2 trains, there wasn't a single issue the entire time.
No.
The only modifications we made to the remaining cars was the coupler change on the plastic McHenry. We tried drilling those out. We tried helping them the best we could, and there was nothing we could do. Nothing would keep those on. And you've got some pretty good radiuses and some pretty good track. It's not like this is child's play here either. This is good stuff. This is, as good if not better than you're going to see at a lot of clubs.
Well, what was sort of upsetting to watch, and I really feel sorry for Atlas on this one because, it's a nice looking car, and when it was pulling around a 50-degree radius, that's pretty good radius, and then that 50 jumps into a 90 after that. But that 50, it just seems to be, it was a challenge for it. It was on an uphill pull. It didn't care for it, and I'm sorry to say that's, I like Atlas. I like it.
Yeah, I gotta say I wasn't too thrilled about it either. I can't knock it for the looks. Like you said, it's an excellent looking car. The detail is there.
Yep.
I think there's something pinching. I feel like we showed before. There's something where when you're trying to place the, I don't know the technical term. I should probably look this up. But over the pin, where the coupling goes over that pin, something's got to be pinching there. It's got to be it, because the A-line cars were just as light, and yeah, they had some issues with the tilting, but they still made it around.
They did. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know. Is it a mold issue? Is it, warping? Sometimes, you get cars that have a problem with warping. I suppose that's a possibility, but I can't say that's true. What happened?
I'll just turn it a little bit.
Well, it likes you better.
Yeah. Doesn't need to like me any better, that's for sure.
It likes you better.
So I gotta say, this wasn't a huge shocker how a lot of this stuff ran. It kind of ran how I expected for the most part. I'd say my favorite surprise was the Athearn. I'd upgrade the couplers, check the coupler heights, and that's it. I mean, they did so well. I would love to see the A-Line Maxi or the A-Line Twin Stacks do a little bit better. I think I can do that with some tweaking. Although once we put the containers in, the one car started to lean a little bit. What I want to do is take some fiber washers and put 1 or 2 in between on the joints where the cars, because they've got a big flat surface on top of a big flat surface where they connect. There isn't a knuckle like the Walters cars, like the 3-packs, like the 5-packs. It's a big flat surface with a screw through it and another big flat surface on top of it. It
was kind of fun watching you down here. I was over at the workbench working on one of the frames for underneath the trucks and stuff like that, putting one together. Listening to you killed me. Sitting down here, he's getting all excited about the squeak. The Athearns, as they were going along, they'd start squeaking because the plastic against each other. Yeah, it kind of moans and squeaks a little bit. And Sean was just, hey, listen to this. That is so cool. It's like, yeah, I've heard that a lot, but yeah, that's kind of cool. He likes that, so he wants them to squeak more.
Well, what's interesting with the Athearns, not with the Maxi ones, but with the Maxi 4s or 5s, whichever it is, the more modern ones. Yep. Again, the hitch didn't fit on the hook quite right, and so they're not sitting flat and flush with the hook coming out. they're kind of sitting over the top of it a little bit, and so there's a lot of rubbing going on. Um, I'm sure after years of use they'd settle in or whatever. You could just drill the hole out. But I'm gonna leave them because every time you go around a slight curve or they adjust a little bit, like going into the yard, I've got a video of it. They talk.
They creak.
They creak. They moan. They twist. They bend. And then you got a couple of axles under there somewhere that are squeaking a little bit. But I want to say, first of all, hats off to Athearn. They were my surprise victory in this. They did a lot better than in the past. I've had Athearns in the past, the Husky stacks, the 5-packs, and I was never impressed. They were always super light, which these still are. But with the metal axles, the metal wheels, they have been greatly improved. As well as Walthers over the last 10, 15 years has come a long ways. They've got the space on the coupler pockets on those longer well cars where the wheels can come in for a tighter radius now. You were talking about that. You had to do that to some of your cars.
Yeah.
Because yours are the old plastic kits from back in the day where you had to put them together and modify them to make them work. And now, for the most part, they come to us in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Yeah. Yards, I've got my center yard, I've got some number 4 switches in there. So if you've got number 4 switches, you know what I'm talking about. Longer cars really don't like go through them so awful well. And exactly what Sean is saying, the coupler pocket had to be augered out on the sides, so it allows the coupler to actually swing further than they allowed in the design of the car. Yeah, that's I mean, that's not a break all thing, but it's, if you're pushing big trains around, you just don't want it fighting like that. So, but anyway, no, they've vastly improved. I am pretty thrilled about what I've seen here. I think everybody's got something pretty good now. Our first review, we had our favorites. May have changed a little bit. There are some awfully good cars out here, and they deserve the respect that they get. Like I say, the only thing I'm a little bit saddened by was the Atlas performance. But all in all, it's a nice looking car. So if you don't mind a challenge to kind of tweak it just to get it to behave a little better, by all means, it's a good car.
Yeah, and I think all these cars are, for the most part, pretty fairly priced for what you get. Yeah, we had a lot of trouble with the Atlas cars, but I mean, $30 a piece when you break it down is about right for where the market's going. The Catos, I think, were a little bit less expensive and handled much better. And if you're looking for that blue car look, like the APL, the Pacer trains, something like that along those lines, that's a great way to get it. And it's a smooth side. If you like the thrall ribbed side cars like those, I would probably go with the Walthers. Some people go for specific cars. Some people go for a look. Which in my case, that's all I'm doing is. One big reason I wanted to do this review is because I have a lot of individual cars in the Walthers 3-packs because I know they work. I've got some of the 5-packs as featured in here for Walthers. But I wanted to expand my horizons a little bit, and I said, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do a video about it and get everything. And I gotta say, I'm pretty happy. The only cars that didn't wow me because of my expectations were the Rapido. I expect a lot from Rapido. They have quite a name for themselves, and they lived up to it. The detail is there. And there wasn't anything I watched for. Everything else, I had something I was looking for. I noticed something. Nothing derailed, other than the Atlas, the A-line. Before I put containers in it, once containers were in them, they were fine. I did notice the one Athearn car we did not put any weight in, and it was towards the back. There was only another few cars behind it, and then you could see it kind of leaning a little bit towards the inside of the curve. So you could tell it was getting there, but it handled it. Did it well. And again, with the grades and the curves on this layout, this is a true testament of what these cars are made for. And I gotta say, I'm just thrilled. Athearn did much better than I expected. I'm so happy. Again, Walthers and Rapido for the win, I think, overall. Cato is right there. being a slightly heavier car than the A-Line and the Atlas, better. I would just swap out the couplers. That's an easy thing to do. And a little disappointed in the A-Line. I didn't know what to expect quite, but I knew the reputation a little bit. I know it's an Intermountain build. I was just kind of hoping, because it is a unique car. I don't know anyone else that makes those in HO. They did do well. I've got another set at home I've been playing with that works a little bit better. And there, again, there's pre-orders out for those now from Intermountain to get more of those released for Sioux Line, BN, Santa Fe, you name it. So, yeah, I think overall it did very well. I think the locomotive did very well. It's the new Scale Trains C40-9.
Looked nice.
Yes, and it pulled great up all these grades with all these cars. Didn't once hesitate, have any issues. That Keep Alive really helps out with some of the switches and the dirty track. Really smooths things out.
Dirty track?
Dirty track.
You
got some dirty track.
We don't have dirty track.
And all operated from the Proto Throttle. I love this thing. It's wireless. You have a lot of control. You can play with the lights, which I do. And the braking, the momentum, the drive hold, all of it was very fun to play with these trains. And of course, Dave's layout. This is an amazing layout. It's been years in the making. There's still some work to do. He's working on scenes now as we speak.
Lots of work.
Lots of work.
Lots of work.
But in the meantime, lots of fun. So thank you again, Dave, for the opportunity here, for helping me out with this review. This is it. I think what we're going to do is kind of make some decisions and ideas about what we might do to improve these cars beyond their current performance. There's a few things I want to try, and we'll revisit that a ways in the future. Probably not anytime too soon. But overall, I don't think, other than Atlas, there isn't a brand here I would say stay away from. Containers wise, you just have to pay attention to what you're putting on top of what if you don't want them sliding around. Again, a couple of the brands didn't have the pockets in the middle of the car to hold the 40-foot or 20-foot containers in place. The Intermountain didn't have anything, but that's a much older car than most of the stuff here. And that derailed once. And I think it's just because it's got a twisted truck on it. I haven't really looked at it that thoroughly. It did it once. That was it. I'm not going to hold it against it because it was kind of it was on a curved switch that's on a grade, and it was on an angle and all this other stuff. So I'm not going to hold that against it. It happens. Even to other rolling stock and locomotives. So overall, excellent stuff. I think manufacturers are doing a great job overall. Atlas, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just this car. There's something a little goofy with it. I don't think it's all of the run. I think it's just light, and there's something going on with this particular set, perhaps. Let me know if you guys have Atlas cars. If you guys have the same issue we pointed out in this film, please let me know. I would like to know. I'm sure others would like to know, because those are unique cars you're not going to get from any other manufacturer. That's another thing with this hobby, with the intermodal scene, is I don't think really too many people make the same thing. Other than the Husky stack, I think is probably the most popular between separate brands, but I think that's just Athearn, Intermountain, and Rapido.
Yeah, there's only so many variances to the type of cars that they are. So, I was going to ask, did you get on the video the listing cars as they're going around the radio?
Yeah, I've got pictures all dropped down in the video that you guys can see where it's. That. I mean, it's leaning way over. The A-Line cars did it. That used to be a more prevalent issue. We basically had two sets that did it on here, and they were both A-Line. I think it's because they're older cars. Maybe the quality wasn't as good as it was when they were made. I want to try to address that.
The kits that I built, matter of fact, are sitting right here. Those don't do that.
Yeah.
Those are the older kits that you had to build everything, but I don't know what to say about it. But yeah, for whatever reason, I like I said, I got a soft spot. I like A-Lines.
They are beautiful.
But maybe some tweaking. I don't know if it's the way it rides on the bolster, rides on the truck. Yeah. If that's it, I don't know. But yeah, the leaning, if the leaning gets taken care of, that's probably going to be a big plus. The only thing I was looking at as far as the leans, what I run into in this layout, you come around town over there, and as we are coming through tunnel, we come right into a switch just as soon as we start.
And that's
leaving.
a Shinohara, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of troublesome switches sometimes.
Yeah, I'll get rid of that thing. But anyways, I've got a nice one to replace it with. But anyways, if you have a car to start a list, you are fractions away from actually hitting the portal with the car, because they're relatively close anyways. But if you get that swing through there and you're leaning, yuck, you're gonna have an accident.
Now, something about this layout, if you haven't been here or watched many of the videos, you might not know this, but there's a lot of tunnels, a lot of hills, a lot of curves. It's basically what? A double twisted backwards dog bone kind of thing?
It's a simple figure 8 in the center, but it's just is a horseshoe figure 8, which is real simple, but it's real fun to watch, guys, because we'll have clubs come over here, and that's hilarious because you'll just let them go and they lose their trains.
You will lose your train, and there is a crossover you need to watch out for, because we didn't even realize that we're both running in the middle, and all of a sudden, wait a second.
What about the diamond?
Where's your train, man?
Where's the diamond? So yeah, you're going to have an intersection whack.
Yeah, and lots of portals on curves, on a grade, and I gotta say, nothing touched. Yep. Nothing touched. We had a couple of minor derailments. I mean, the Atlas cars just weren't cooperating. Both sets of A-lines derailed. That was it. And we pushed both of those sets loaded down the grade around the Y, all the way back into the yard. No issues. The only modification having been made to any of this is the Walthers 3-pack. We put the drawbars in because I lost them. They have the red washers, basically the fix from back in the day, because they had oversized wheels and they would squeak all the time. So basically what they're running now is what's done to those cars. And then I had to put a coupler on the maxi stacks from Athearn because the coupler that was in there was bent. That's it. And because it was warped, the spring didn't have enough tension to keep the coupler closed. That was the only issue, was that coupler. And I got to put my air hose back on before I forget. But I think what we're going to do is just put our favorites together on one train, run the heck out of them, and try experimenting with a couple of fixes to get those cars kind of straightened out, those A-lines. Because those are very nice cars. They're beautiful. And then the Athearns did really good. Yep. Overall, I'm very thrilled. This is what I expect when I buy something from a manufacturer. I don't expect there to be issues. I don't expect to have to repair things and send it back all the time. I'm very happy with what's transpired here through this review. The containers did very well. Nothing sliding around. There's not a whole lot for the containers to do, but to fit into each other nicely. And again, the Walthers do pretty well together, or very well together overall. There's a couple different oddballs that don't. The Rapido and the Scale Trains did well. There's nothing for the Atlas and the Aurora miniatures to plug into others, so I'd put those on the bottom by themselves, which you do see, so I'm not worried about it. I think that's about it. I would like to see, if I have one request, I would like to see Walthers do a 3-car articulated set and more Ocean Network Express. And then there's a new container brand out there, Z something. I'm sure if you guys are rail fanning Intermodal at all, you'll see it. It's got to be coming out. People were so excited with Ocean Network Express, the bright pink and white cars, and when they were done, they sold out. They still sell out as fast as they can produce them. So the new Zim cars, Z cars, something. It's a blue container with a cool logo. As soon as those are out, I'm gonna get some. They look so sharp. I'll show you. But again, thanks again to Dave, and I want to give a quick shout out to Athearn. I bought some of their new cars here, or new trailers. This is the 20-foot container, specifically reefer containers with a chassis. These are $28 from Hiawatha Hobbies, retail of $34. And with the trailer, you get a different set of, what do you call those? I'm having a brain fart.
Oh, the landing gear.
Landing gear, yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So it comes with a different set of landing gear for $28. It's a little pricey, but it's nice. It's already there. The containers come right off, and you can put them in a well car if you want. But it's cool because I don't have a lot of chassis, so I get something of each. And I hope that Athearn does the longer containers and chassis. That would be nice. Because this stuff's not coming down in price any, but I think that's kind of sharp.
Do they have that with sound? With
the reefers with sound? No, I think
Yeah.
that's just scale trains.
just scale chains?
Just scale
That's
trains.
that's pretty awesome.
That is cool.
That is.
I wouldn't mind getting some of those, but you got to turn the volume down because you can blow the speaker, and then you have to keep putting batteries in it.
No.
It doesn't use a lot of energy. It takes a while, but I don't need the sound. It'd be cool to have one or two that do it.
Yeah.
But I know a couple of people who have like 10 of them on one train. It gets to be a bit much.
Well, we got one here. It's not ours. There's another friend who's got one, and it's here. And it was kind of neat to hear it. So I was just wondering if they had it available for those.
Oh yeah, Scale Trains has them. I'll get you one of those for Christmas.
No, I don't need it
All right.
anymore.
We're gonna wrap it up. This video has been long enough. Thank you guys for watching to the end. As always, please support Superior Scenics. They support me. They give me opportunities. They give me a chance to kind of show off their stuff, show off some of my stuff, help out with their views, and they support my channel. And I ask you to please support the people who support me. Hiawatha Hobbies has helped out tremendously with this as well. Glenn over there does a great job. They have a ton of variety. They have the new stuff coming in all the time. Anything that's come out recently, I'm sure they've got it. And check them out at hiawathahobbies.com. Check out Dave's stuff over at superiorschenics.com. And check me out on Facebook at the Chicago Milwaukee Northwestern. And with that, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yep.